Makes you go. Hello everyone, I am Lauren Konkar-Sheehy, the Executive Director of the Garden State Film Festival. To my right, I am joined today by Christopher Dudick, who is the founder and the CEO of Silas Solutions, along with Dr. Bernadette Mullen, who is the lead researcher at Silas Solutions, and my co-pilot, Heather Britton O'Scanlan, who is the Vice Chair of the Garden State Film Festival. So, you have an amazing product called Silas Solutions, and we need to know and let everybody else know all about it. Where do you want to begin?
So, how about we start with what it is?
Yeah,
and
what
then
is
we can
it?
talk about how it started.
Okay, sounds good.
So, Silas is a social emotional learning platform. We give teachers curriculum that teaches all the different topics that they need to teach their students on how to resolve a conflict, how to deal with coping skills, how to make eye contact, everything from the basics to the more complex. And what we provide is a step-by-step instruction for teachers. And when they're finished teaching the topic, the students work together to collaborate on a social narrative, a script, just like in the movies. Mm-hmm. And then they take that script to the computer where they use the computer and technology socially. They can select an avatar that they'd like to be. They can select a virtual background that they'd like to go to. And then they act. They actually act out their scripts live, and it records it in this animation that is immediately produced so they can watch it and then get immediate feedback on it. We've been selling into schools for about 4 years now, and it's been going great.
Now, you guys were really on the forefront of this kind of technology. It's really breakthrough. Dr. Bernadette or Bernie, can you please tell us, give us the foundation of how the evolution of this became to be?
Well, I'm a speech language pathologist and a special ed teacher, and I do predominantly work in the field of autism. So Chris and I were sharing a space. We were doing different things. He was working on computer work with kids, and I was doing speech. And we began to see a real need for social skills. Mm-hmm. We began to see that the children that did come to us for social skills were finding the materials that were out there boring. And so if they were bored, they weren't really participating in the learning. So together we kind of came up with these ideas that perhaps art, avatars, Chris is so creative, and I had the background in the autism to really put that together.
That's unbelievable. And you don't know, but Heather's son Colin went to Small Factory Productions and took classes.
Nice. He did.
Nice.
He was, probably 8 years old, and it was so cool. So this was, I guess, pre your collaboration, but it was still the kids working together to put together their own script and their own little cartoons and stories and make movies.
Yeah.
And Colin really got a lot out of that. That was a very
awesome.
neat experience. And so.
That's basically how Silas started. It was an organic. So in 2007, I created a business called Small Factory Productions where kids would come and learn how to do animation, music production, video game design, and that was 2007. So that was before anything like that was happening in schools. Mm-hmm. But very early on, as Bernie mentioned, I remember her coming to me, or I was coming to her and saying, listen, I'm doing some great things with these kids, they're doing great stuff, but I'm having some issues with social skills, or I'm having some issues with behavior problems. And in most cases, there were special needs students, yep. And they were doing phenomenal within the classes, but I was having some of these issues. So I told her, I'm like, what do I do about that? She was like, I'll never forget it. She was like, you're getting these kids, and they're excited to be there. I've been teaching the same boring social skills stuff for a long time because there's nothing out there. Mm-hmm. So let's use your cool stuff, and I'll do my normal stuff, and we'll create it. So Silas really started organically over the course of about 10 years. Mm-hmm. And then we ended up getting a beta. I met a gentleman that was very interested in some of the stuff that I was doing, and we partnered on creating this software that we got a beta from. We worked with Princeton and Kane University, some researchers there, to get some understanding of the effectiveness of it, and it was just enough to entice the National Science Foundation. Mm-hmm. So we did a first-time grant, and they're very difficult to get, especially if you're a first timer. I'm not a writer. I did it with, which was really cool, a kid right out of high school.
Wow.
He was going to college, but he was brilliant. And another educator friend of mine, Chris Aviles. And the three of us, one summer, we just wrote this thinking we knew what we were doing, and we actually got it. So we got
Wow.
$225,000 of federal money to develop this prototype, and we made our MVP, and we started selling it.
That's amazing. So the evolution of SEL is so important. Do you want to talk about the evolution and the research behind it to go a little more? Because people heard you say schools are using it, and I know all of the research that you have conducted, and you know it works. It's proven. So I just wanted to give a little more background on that.
Sure. So real quick, though, I think, because you mentioned social emotional learning, everybody heard that, and everybody knows what that is now. But we've been teaching social skills Bernie's been teaching it to students with, autism or special needs students for years and years, and she can talk more about what that was like. But since social emotional learning started, people have been looking at our product differently,
Sure.
because now it's not just for special needs students;
Right.
it's for all students, and that's kind of where we are now as a society, which is great.
And also, I think social emotional learning provided a platform where you can go to it and really have some rules and regulations. Prior, in all the years that we were teaching social skills in speech and language, but also in special education classrooms, we were kind of coming up with our own goals and our old, parameters. And now this is really a much more formalized way to do it. We still definitely need much more research, but SEL organizes how you provide your goals, major categories, and again, Chris has always said, let's mix kids who have special needs and kids who are in the mainstream. So it's really working well for them.
That's great. I have found on a college level and also a high school level, the past 7 to 10 years especially, there's more students being drawn to television and film production. I think because it's a very visual, creative, academic area. So, but I don't ever get told, I don't get notified specifically what each student has. So I have to kind of figure out, okay, he's not going to look me in the eye. It's usually the males. Statistically for us, it's been the male students that have the special needs. So it's so interesting to know, anything that we can learn from your program to incorporate that in the college level as well. I know we're talking school and high school, but on a college level, I think this is pretty important.
Well, that's really interesting because one of the things that drew me to what Chris was doing is that the entire theatrical process, the process of writing a script, that is one of our earlier discussions as well. I said, wait a minute, a script is such a wonderful language activity. So it really does address all the language needs that you would want to address.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing about this too is just the timeliness of it, not just the video production aspect of it, because now, like everyone with social media and TikTok, we're all the kids from a young age are making their own movies essentially. So that's one area that you're just tapping into an interest that's really heightened right now. But also even babies, from the time they're adept enough to hold their own bottle, people are putting iPads in their hands. So technology is something that these kids, that is their first language. And having this vehicle to help them navigate these issues and these behavioral issues, and I think it's really truly brilliant.
It is.
So when we first started, it was kind of like we were like the oxymoron. It was like, wait a minute, you're going to use technology, which is giving students the reason that they're not being social to make them social. And we're like, yes, you're going to entice them and get them excited because that's what they do. Speak on their level. And up until that point, everybody was doing just traditional paper-based stuff and awkward role-playing and video modeling. And if you have social deficits, that's awful for you. In most cases, it can be very difficult. So we provide a low-risk virtual environment for you to go and practice the things that you're having issues with as many times as you want, and in many different forms as you want. You can be as many different characters. You can go to different places.
That's cool.
And it provides, just like a baseball player would practice swinging 100 million times, right? They can practice this before they get into the real life, before they do the real world. they can do it virtually and get comfortable with it, and it's exciting.
Yeah, and true to your word, when we first started this, many professionals, not the students certainly, but many professionals really questioned us as to why we were choosing this type of modality to teach social skills when so many parents were trying to pull their children away from gaming. But the process of Silas is social from the beginning to the end because you're always paired with other children. You're not at home in your room, you're not doing it alone. So it was social from the beginning, and I think that was key in this process.
That's awesome.
And then just a couple points on that. So we have just some fun things. So the part of the animation is as long as the script. So they're on the computer using technology for a minute, 2 minutes maybe. It's not a long time. So, but it's just enough time to get them excited to use a video game controller or record their voice, and they'll do anything for it. So I was in one school, and writing can be very difficult for some students, and they don't like it. So I remember one speech-language pathologist that I was working with, we were training her, and she goes, I love this, but I have this one kid, and there's no way he's going to write. And I said, well, how about you bring him in here, and I'll work with him, and I'll show you some things that I would do to get him to write. So you have the ability to hook up video game controllers to the computers that we use, and it makes it more gamified. So the kid walks in, and he sees 2 video game controllers. He doesn't say hello to me. He doesn't say anything to anybody else. He looks at the table. He goes, video game controllers? Right there, you had him.
Yeah.
You could get him to do anything.
Right.
And then I said, yeah, but we have to write, and we're going to record our voice and make a movie, but we have to write a script. And before I could even finish that, he goes, okay, grabs the pen out of my hand, and the teacher actually filmed him writing. He was so excited. And then the other thing that the avatars do is it provides like a one-off from real life. So one of my favorite stories is we've got a district in Indiana, and this is like northeastern side of Indiana, very low diversity. He was a Caucasian boy, had autism. He picks a little African-American girl every time he does it, and he gives it a girl voice. But he's practicing his social skills that way. And he's not doing it unless he's like, right? So it's
colorless,
you're
yeah.
practicing in a fun way, and you're doing it, and just like that baseball player practicing, he's able to do it until he gets comfortable enough to do it outside. So
Yeah.
And we have certainly seen many times in the groups that we've taught together that many of the students are willing to try to reach out and to expand what they can do socially when they are inside an avatar, as opposed, which was my research in graduate school, specifically because they can play and they don't really think it's them, but then it does come back home. People do ask that question as well, when will there be application? There is application, but the beginning steps, being inside someone else, it's just a great way to start.
That's awesome. How about the parents' reactions? I mean, I have goosebumps thinking about all these success stories.
So in our curriculum, we provide sheets. So let's say you're working on a topic that your child needs help with. At the end of that lesson, you go home, and now the parents have something to do with their children. They have a discussion with them. They can do activities with them. But the movies are exciting, and we want them to be exciting. So you can easily download them, send them home to a mother, father, guardian, and then they can then be prepared to say, if the kid has, social deficits and introducing themselves in front of a group, you could practice that, make that movie, and then right before they go in, say, hey, remember that time we made that movie with you introducing in front of all your friends? Let's watch that again. Real quick, right there on the phone,
good.
right there, you could do it, and then the kid goes in and he's excited about it. So,
That's so amazing.
Yeah, it really is cool.
Oh my
and it's
God.
his voice, it's her voice,
Yeah.
it's their
It's empowering.
script. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh my gosh. You might not know this, but Chris has won Emmys for Small Factory Productions, and Brookdale Television played the series.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's just unbelievable how, like you said, the organic process of you already had Small Factory and the kids were making the cartoons and everything, and just bringing the avatars together is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. So what else? I know that you can also do it in virtually, like through distance. You can be 6 feet or 6 miles apart.
That's correct. So Originally, we wanted it to be a social application, and we were kind of not interested in doing it where kids could be in different homes because then it wasn't social. We wanted them to be together. We wanted a teacher to formally teach them the topic, and then they go to that station in the classroom or that computer where they get to create this movie. So with COVID, that was not happening. So we immediately went into development where we could basically do multiplayer, and a teacher can create a link, send it to their students over Google Classroom or Zoom chat or anything, and when they get it, they can click on that link, and then they can do it from their computer, and the teacher or the other student could do it from there. So you can be. I just did one yesterday with a teacher in Seattle, and it works the exact same way.
So cool.
So it's like you're creating a room for that production to happen.
Okay.
So you are the Garden State Film Festival Educator of the Year recipient.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But
Thank
you don't even know that award was specifically called Educator and not Teacher because of you.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
you don't even know that. But surprise, that's why. Because it's just, you have been doing this since before it was mainstream, and the breakthrough technology that both of you have been working on is just unbelievable. And it's really important for the film festival, to acknowledge all of the hard work that you've been doing.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Well, I mean, so we do it because we love it, and the teachers specifically, being able to help them provide this in all the different ways we can is part of our mission. We want to, if a teacher can't be with a student, we need to give them an option of doing everything they can to make the student engaged. And when a kid is at home, they can't be social with somebody else. How are they going to do it? So
Yeah.
we're providing that platform now where that's all happening. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. You know what? It's so important. We didn't really talk about this, but with the pandemic and COVID going on and everyone being literally locked in their houses, the fact that you can do this virtually is so much more important now. Otherwise, you can imagine in your mind what they would just be crawled up in a ball, like doing nothing. So the fact that you can offer this is unbelievable.
Thank you. And so we've been getting a lot of calls specifically to re-engage students.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Students aren't excited anymore because of the Zoom fatigue and and all of that. So they're not even showing up to class in certain cases.
Yeah.
So this is something that at least will get them back into it, because now it's not like they're playing a game is what they think.
Right, it's interactive instead of talking at you.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Education, I think it just fits in the time really well because it's gamified, gamification where you're making education fun and exciting, and you're giving them points, or you're doing some sort of game-based learning is fun, but also the maker movement is what we're a part of as well. So they're not just passively just watching movies. There's a lot of places that just say, here, watch this, and this is how you need to act.
Yeah.
Right.
But for a kid, you do it. We provide that for them to do it, and then they can get immediate reflection on how they did. So.
Awesome, I love it. So for more information, please visit silassolutions.com. Do you guys have anything else you would like to add?
No, thank you.
Nope.
Thank you. This
No,
was
thank you.
amazing. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
You're
much.
welcome. We're thrilled to have you. And for more information on the Garden State Film Festival, please go to gsff.org. And for Silas Solutions, please go there right now. It's silassolutions.com. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.